internet of value at Ripple, we're thinking much bigger than just cross-border payments. It's kind of like Amazon with rare books in the early days. Just this market happens to be a $10 trillion market.
We are at a historic turning point.
Said in the past that you are doing for money what email did for communication.
Moving the whole revolution forward.
Take on it.
There's trillions of dollars parked around the world.
RP.
Is there a possibility that Ripple could take over SWIFT one day?
Well,
welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So, let's get right in today's video. This one is going to be a very juicy episode. Strap in your seatbelt. If you're driving, pull over, because we're going to get down to the bottom of this. Crypto Ari is supporting terrorism. What do I mean by that? She's defending USDT. She stated, and as for those channels claiming USDT is a scam, oh, the twists of life. And before I get into this, before I crack everything and lay out the facts, and I was joking about the whole terrorism part, but you will hear that from Caroline Hill in a moment. Caroline Hill, very important, which we're going to get into. You do not want to miss a second of this, and I don't want to see any negative comments about crypto. I do apologize if it's Eddie or Ari. I don't want to see any negative comments in regards to her whatsoever in the comments down below, okay? But USDT may be regulated. She's saying that Tether can meet requirements of the MiCA regulation. She was going back and forth with another community member, which this is false because Tether doesn't plan on doing that. And she used Naveen Gupta's quote stating where they're using USDT on ODL. That is totally fine. It's just like FTX. FTX went down. A lot of individuals went down with them. Just because they look legitimate and, you know, they're working, they're flowing. And just because Ripple is using it, it doesn't mean they're 100% legitimate. Just like FTX, Ripple lost money there. A lot of people lost money on FTX because they thought they were legitimate. But before I get into it, and before you guys make any statements, let me lay out the facts in front of you, and then you guys be the judge, and let me know in the comments down below. But first, look how juicy this snapshot is. Nelly Lang, Lauren Believe from Ripple, Paul Wong from Stellar. This is a RoundTable, secret, closed-door meetings. Shout out to Subjective Views for this picture. And Lauren Believe, another very reputable individual that's a part of Ripple. She's worked at startups, Lyft, Zoom, policy director in Washington, D.C., worked at the White House. Long resume, very reputable. And they joined Ripple because they know Ripple is going to be a massive disruptor going into this transition.
My name is Marjan de Latin. I joined Ripple actually 10 months ago, and I used to work for Swift for more than a decade. Ripple, because I joined Ripple to disrupt. And I think that's the main objective of the Ripple.
This is insane because remember what Nelly Lang said.
As I mentioned, the current use in the US is quite limited. Stable coins are usually based only to trade crypto, not yet used for payments, although there is a non-bank payment provider that is now issuing a stable coin to try to use for merchants. There is a non-bank payment provider that is now issuing a stable coin to try to use for merchants.
And remember, she's a part of the Department of Treasury. This is where they set rules, they observe the financial system and how they could all, work together. The Department of Treasury. Keep this in your head because it's going to be very important when you listen to Caroline Hill. Caroline Hill, before joining Circle as a senior director of policy, worked at U.S. Department of Treasury. So they're in the same boat. And folks, this is going to get juicy. So let's get into it. Crypto Eddie. This is why USDT is right now pretty much a scam in the sense where the transparency isn't there. And if you're going to onboard institutional investors or adoptions or USDT being utilized within dozens and hundreds of jurisdictions, you need to obtain licensing and meet all the requirements for AML, KYC under each jurisdiction. So, Paolo Ardoino stated on April 10th, this was an interview, nobody in Europe or the United States really needs a stablecoin. If a stablecoin wants to fit into MiCA studs, it must also spread its cash deposits across several banking players. At least 6 in the most favorable case and a dozen in the least favorable. Very few banks accept this type of business in Europe. It's already very difficult to get just one bank he's referring to. I wonder why it's difficult for them. It's so difficult that they got caught for using fake documents to open bank accounts. Like, are you seeing this? And this man can't really keep his word either. I'll show you that in a second. To sum up, you don't plan to be regulated in Europe in the medium term. He says not for the moment. This is the CEO of Tether stating this just weeks ago. And if you guys haven't checked out Bitfinex'ed, I'll leave the link in the description down below. I'll leave the link for everything in the description down below. All the evidence is here. And I just came across his account a couple weeks ago. So this just put the icing on the cake of what we were talking about in regards to Tether and licensing. And he can't keep his word. A couple months ago in Rome, listen to this part. A few days ago, I was in Brussels to discuss MiCA approach, both for regulation of cryptocurrencies and in particular for stablecoins. It is certainly a fairly promising framework, but in reality, there are still some doubts. Why? I mean, listen, if you are going into an era of like this whole ecosystem growing, why would there be any doubts in regards to regulation? If you're a fair player, you do as you say, and you enter the market being 100% transparent. Why are you talking about doubts? And listen to this part. At the blockchain week in Paris, you said that USDT is the safest asset. Do you still think so? And a man cannot even keep his word. He says, in my opinion, there's nothing safer and more decentralized than Bitcoin. So completely dodges to say, USDT is the safest asset. Great response, right? I mean, sure. Let me know what you guys think of those remarks. But again, to give you more insight on what's actually going on behind the scenes, Caroline Hill, Senior Director of Global Policy and Regulatory Strategy at Circle, and she's out here stating these facts about Tether, which I'll play in a moment, but you're also going against what she is saying. Caroline Hill was evaluating how emerging financial technology could be used for illicit means. Like, why would she be saying this just a couple months ago?
I personally believe that no company should be allowed to reference the US dollar without having those democratic values inside the company, inside their US dollar-backed stablecoin. And so I think if Treasury thinks that it needs additional authorities to go over that, then I think this committee should consider that.
So to those U.S. touch points, U.S. financial services company Cantor Fitzgerald reportedly manages Tether's $72 billion portfolio of Treasury bonds, giving him access to U.S. dollars. Cantor's enabling of terror and illicit activities across the globe is unacceptable. Ms. Hill, given Tether's nexus to the U.S. financial system through Cantor Fitzgerald, does Treasury already have the authority to take action? And what should we be doing about American-regulated companies like Cantor?
I would think that the Treasury Department would have the authority to take action given this U.S. touch point, yes. And I hope that they're looking at this seriously given Tether's reputation as well as the data that we've seen that they're contributing to terrorist financing and other malign activities.
And what's so important about this is she's coming from the U.S. Department of Treasury. She's voicing her concerns. You have Nellie Lang, right, over here with Ripple and a RoundTable, which we're going to get into in another video because there's a lot to cover here. We will see who's all at this RoundTable. But it's happening. If Tether doesn't really bootstrap in and get everything going, the market is going to dump. and everybody is going to get affected very, very badly. And you have Grant Rabin saying the same thing about USDT.
Criminals continue to seek out offshore platforms without those same robust anti-money laundering programs and controls. Those offshore entities often play jurisdictional whack-a-mole, attempting to avoid tough anti-money laundering rules and expecting that regulators won't care. The U.S. government should use all of its existing tools to go after these platforms. Many recent enforcement and actions in the crypto anti-money laundering space are good news. Accountability should happen.
And I guess his words also mean nothing, but he did serve 10 years as a federal prosecutor with a focus on money laundering, Bank Secrecy Act, cryptocurrency, and cybercrime. And he is over here, and he was at the U.S. Department of Justice, now at Coinbase. Okay? Like, come on, Coinbase, Circle, both their directors for policy, financial crimes, are stating and voicing concerns about USDT. And that is why I believe you could say all the good stuff you want about Tether, but there's a lot of negative stuff that outweigh the good stuff, but like by all means. So we got to state the facts. And just because Naveen Gupta stated that they're using USDT, that's great. Everybody is using USDT right now. Just like everybody was using FTX when everything was going perfectly. There's a time where, good things come to an end. Do I want USDT to go down? Absolutely not. Do I feel great coming out here and making a video and calling out USDT and saying it's a scam? I don't like doing that because it puts a scare in everybody and in their investments, including myself. But we need to come out and lay down the facts, and we can't spread stuff like this and see 60,000 people see this, and now everybody's confused. Who's right or wrong? Brad Garlinghouse stated USDT on his speeches many times. Like I said, just like FTX, a lot of good players were involved. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I do appreciate every single one of you guys. Let me know in the comments down below. Like I said, I don't want to hear anything negative. This is no hate. This is no nothing. This is just me laying out the facts and putting this to bed. And we will see how this plays out. For me, how do I want to, if you guys want my honest opinion on how I want this to play out, of course I don't want this thing to crash. Who does? The thing is, it's been around, the longest lasting stablecoin out there. But all good things come to an end, and something like a USDT can go away, and better regulated ones could come and completely and will save the markets. That's 100%. But in that meantime, a lot of people will lose money. If USDT goes down, a lot of people will lose money. But that's only if you sell. It will just have to be another storm that we just have to get through. But remember, this report from the World Economic Forum in regards to modernizing financial markets, this was released April 2024, this year, a couple weeks ago. Okay? Remember what they stated? Third-party operator, a regulated third-party operator typically equipped with a rulebook and risk management controls operates the platform on behalf of the participants. So they're stating here that a third party will be operating and it needs to be a regulated entity. And remember, we talked about downtime and we missed this part because they even addressed it in regards to RTGS system outages. And look, remember I said how they can't go down for even 10, 12 hours? They have everything documented. 3 hours in 2020, 2 hours, 2021, 4 hours, 2022, 5 hours, 2020, 10 hours. And this is what I mean. And why I say Ripple, the XRP ledger, has been monitored for the past 12 years. I hope you guys understand what I mean now after seeing this. It's being monitored and has been since inception. And when everything rolls out, they could roll it out successfully, knowing that there hasn't been any downtime, a significant one, for the past 12 years. And let me state a fact here. Solana, Ethereum, Bitcoin all have downtimes, and on numerous occasions. And that's a fact. And of course, James Wallace was a part of this, that, you know, put this PDF together along with a stellar individual. So with that being said, I do appreciate every single one of you guys. If you guys enjoyed this video, go ahead and smash that like button, share this video, and we will be back with another episode.
We started building RippleNet with the thesis that crypto liquidity would eventually be able to support robust global payments, large payments. RippleNet was designed so that customers seeing the benefits of our fiat-based network could flip the switch to ODL once the market was mature enough. And this is exactly what's happening. Flip the switch.
I think what we're building has, it's solving a real problem. And I think all of the tokens, my advice to anybody would be, understand the utility. If there's real utility and there's real value being delivered to a real customer, there will be value in the token.